Hello and welcome to the Flexera documentation page. In this video, you'll learn how to prepare for your Flexera 1 Cloud Cost Optimization Implementation. By the end of this tutorial, you'll be able to gather the necessary information which will be very useful when you configure your Flexera 1 CCO product. We know that starting an implementation can be daunting, and working through a list will help you gather the information from various stakeholders across your organization to ensure that your implementation is effective. Within the CCO section, we have content which will help you get started with your CCO product, both from an initial configuration perspective as well as ongoing use. The pre-implementation checklist section lists the checklist items that you should review and prepare for prior to beginning your Flexera 1 journey. Within the pre-implementation checklist section over here, we have listed all the topics that you should know about before you start. The first point here is to compile a list of cloud providers who your organization wishes to connect. This could be the big three clouds, Azure, AWS, and GCP, but it can also be other clouds like Oracle, IBM, Azure China, Alibaba, some of your other data sources which you want to represent alongside cloud costs. In the section over here, build data connections, it takes you to the details of how you would set up your build data connection for these cloud providers that you gathered in the earlier step. Once the build data connections are created, you would then move towards creating your cloud telemetry connections. This is required to capture information like CPU utilization, memory utilization, IOPS, etc., which help the Flexera product create optimization recommendations for you. The required details are provided in the cloud telemetry connection link. You then need to understand the current tagging strategy, and sometimes this could be different between the resources in your various clouds. So the AWS team might have implemented a slightly different tagging strategy compared to the Azure or the GCP or other teams. And the coverage might also be varying. Understanding this upfront, make sure that you are well prepared to handle this and avoid surprises. You also need to gather details of your enterprise discount program or the EDP. You need to decide the base currency for this implementation and understand from your finance teams about the foreign exchange rates which they expect to be applied, and more details around where these could be sourced from, whether it's a public source, whether it's available from finance or any internal websites. This helps you ensure that your data is converted in the correct currency. You also need to list the adjustments which are desired. So for example, if you want to look at all of the usage after removing the taxes lines, or if you want to change some of the other configurations of the data, if you list all of that, these would help you at a later stage while configuring the adjustments program. You'd also need to list your chargeback and showback processes and define the levels at which cloud cost needs to be consolidated and the applicable allocation rules for cost. For example, does your organization want to allocate cost by tags or by subscriptions or any other rules? And also, what are the exceptions to these rules? Knowing this upfront makes it a very focused implementation. You need to list the users and accesses which these users should have to the data. This would be very helpful while creating the groups for user access. You'd also need to plan the cloud cost optimization strategy, essentially which topics are to be handled in advance. Do you think the organization wishes to handle unused volumes early on, or to dive straight into right sizing opportunities. So this will help you surface the appropriate cloud cost optimization recommendations to make it very useful for your organization. You then apply the appropriate Flexera policies from the automation catalog with the appropriate parameters to identify optimization opportunities. Ideally, you'd also have a list of dashboards that the business wishes to have, or separate stakeholders wish to have, so that these can be created effectively. And also the budgeting and tracking process and forecasting process to help you leverage Flexera capabilities to effectively operate within the boundaries of what your organization requires. Integrating with external tools becomes extremely important, especially in a multi-cloud estate. And knowing about which tools your organization would like Flexera to integrate with, and understanding the API capabilities of those applications would keep you in a very, very good position throughout your Flexera 1 implementation. With all of this, you would be well prepared. And now that you understand what information you need to gather, the next steps would be to head over to start capturing these to help you with your implementation.